How you going? Good. Having a good day? Getting the painting done? Good. Oh, look, I just have huge admiration for these young people, and they're learning some fantastic skills at this academy. And as a very, very amateur sort of DIY guy, it's good to when you get a chance to be able to use proper tools. It's pretty special. So,
one of the students yelled out.
Sorry? I'm not sure they knew that I was doing that and I was allowed to do that, but I had to give it a go, so it was great. So
one of the students was yelling out the window as you arrived that you sucked.
No, look, it's been a great school visit here, and I get up and down the country and see a lot of schools, but I was very keen to come here because this is a pretty special program at the school. There's a number of actual academies, and so there's actually the Hospitality Academy, the Automotive Academy, and obviously here at the Building and Construction, and that's been really good to see. We've got young people turned on to school and staying in school because of programs like this. Sorry?
You hear that very often? There was a young Māori woman, obviously. Do you hear that very often?
Oh, no, kids are great when I've come on to school. This is a school of 1,800 kids, and there'll be a range of views, and that's fine. But no, I mean, honestly, I go up into schools, very regularly, and they're really fantastic. But amazing young people here that actually are motivated to come to school because they're doing something that they actually really enjoy, and they've got great teachers teaching them some skills that are going to be very useful for down the road.
Can I put to you something what Chris Hipkins has said about you in his speech to local government NZ? It's all very well to describe a community swimming pool as nice to have when you have your own pool in the backyard, but the majority of our local residents aren't that privileged.
Yeah, I just say to Chris Hipkins, get out of Wellington and go talk to ratepayers across this country who actually are doing it incredibly tough. And I think, as I've seen with the reaction to my remarks at the LGNZ conference yesterday, actually people are very grateful that actually that's what they do want their councils to do. Yep, waste will look different in each council based off its financial situation, but all I'm saying, and the general gist, was to make sure you prioritise your projects properly.
Here's another one. You might not value the local playground if you can afford to buy your kids whatever experiences they want, but most hard-working parents can't do that.
Well, I'm not saying anything about playgrounds. What I'm just saying is prioritise your projects and make sure that you can afford what you can afford to do. Do the things that make the most amount of difference, the most amount of ratepayers, in the fastest possible time. And so all I'm saying is prioritise, as we are doing in central government, as families are doing up and down this country, thanks to Chris Hipkins and the abysmal economic management, and as our businesses up and down this country too.
Here's another. You might not think a library is a core service when you can afford to buy whatever books you want, but not all of our local residents can do that.
As I said to you, Tova, I get the line of questioning you want to come after, but the point is very simple. Well, fine, but Chris Hipkins, as I just said to you at the beginning, should go talk to some ratepayers. Okay. Has he done that?
He's insinuating that you're out of touch, isn't he?
Well, what he's saying is actually he hasn't spoken to ratepayers, and he's out of touch by not actually talking to them. Because I meet with Kiwis up and down this country each and every day. People are paying their rates bills, actually many of them this week. It's incredibly expensive, and they've actually got councils that actually have been spending money on things that actually aren't as important as other things, and they're just asking them to prioritise and manage their budgets appropriately.
Given the difficulty the Prime Minister seems to have understanding the significance of our own history as a nation, he might like to visit his local library and they could lend him a few books on the Treaty of Waitangi. When was the last time you visited your local library? Yeah, look, it's not worth dignifying that with an answer, frankly. Okay, let's go. What about a public?
Sorry, Tova, we'll just go to the next person.
There's a lot of concerns surrounding proposed changes to the Marine and Coastal Areas Act. Is it the government's intention to limit the area of coastline Māori within claim under customary rights?
Look, no, all we're doing is we're moving it back to what was what Parliament intended in 2011, which is to actually make sure that we actually have legitimate protection of Māori customary rights and also legitimate protection of the use of the coastline by all New Zealanders. And that's why I was really proud that a national government in 2011 actually brought that legislation to bear. As you know, yeah, correct. I haven't personally. I've spoken to Chris in the past since I've come into leadership of the National Party. But I just say to you, all we're doing there, moving it back to what Parliament intended. The courts obviously lowered the threshold for that, and I appreciate that people have to go back through a bit of a process to prove that they have had customary ownership rights for since 1840. That's the threshold. That was what Parliament intended, and the balance is about right.
One news understand your ministers Goldsmith and Jones met with seafood industry groups about potential changes to the MACRA Act back in May. Was this appropriate given that Māori hadn't been consulted yet?
Look, I'm unaware of what was discussed in that meeting per se. I'm aware of pieces of it, but what I just say to you is our intention's been very clear. We want to move this decision back to what Parliament intended. Parliament is sovereign, and we've had a change with the courts actually lowering the threshold, and all we're doing is getting the balance right to make sure that customary title is protected and legitimately so, and equally so are legitimate rights of New Zealanders to enjoy the coastline too.
Are you worried about, there was such a horrible time in New Zealand's history for a lot of Kiwis. Are you worried about what might be coming as a result of them coming on?
Well, look, all I just say to you is Parliament passed a bill in 2011. A national government did that. I'm proud of that, and the balance was right. Subsequently, the bill has been interpreted differently by the courts, and the threshold has been lowered. All we're simply doing is returning it back to the intention of Parliament. That's as simple as it is. That's exactly where it is. And so we're balanced in doing that. We actually have a balance which is between making sure we actually have legal protection for customary title for Māori, and we also make sure that legitimate rights of New Zealanders to access the coast is protected as well. And I think that balance is right.
You've got the balance right in terms of how slowly it's making its way through the court, the claims. It's so slow. $11 million this year budgeted for those claims to move through court. Is that fair in your mind?
The government has funded iwi to actually.
The speed at which these claims are moving.
Well, that's a decision for the courts. All I'm saying to you is we've seen a court decision that actually lowers the threshold significantly and away from what the intention of Parliament had intended. And all we're doing, returning it back to 2011, where that balance was right.
And that main meeting with the seafood industry, that was one that Stuff was reporting on yesterday, in which Shane Jones called a High Court judge a communist. Paul Goldsmith and Shane Jones were both making really favourable noises in the seafood industry about the changes, even though the matter was still going through litigation in the Supreme Court. Is that appropriate?
Well, all I'm aware of is those remarks you raised yesterday about Shane Jones. As I said, it was a description. It's on the record. The judge was a member of the Socialist Party. It's well known. It's in the public domain. There wouldn't be comments that I've made, but I don't see any issue with that.
And just back to Chris Hipkins' comments, is there an element of the politics of envy in what he's saying?
Oh, look, I'm not getting into what Chris Hipkins thinks. Frankly, he's not talking to ratepayers. Go talk to ratepayers. Get out of the bubble of Wellington and go find out how tough people are doing it, thanks to Chris Hipkins' previous efforts as a government causing economic mismanagement that's caused pain and suffering for all Kiwis. We're here to fix it. We're here to make sure that actually we're just sending a message very clearly to councils. Don't do the dumb stuff. Do the important stuff, the things that makes the most difference to your community, and prioritise appropriately and make sure you work to your budgets.
Winston Peters is planning to stand again in 2026. Would you work with them again beyond 26 if given the opportunity?
Yes, I've enjoyed working with them. I really do. I think we've got a very constructive relationship. He's doing an exceptionally good job as our foreign minister, and those are obviously decisions for him. But all I can say is I've really enjoyed working with him.
And their party as well?
Again, same thing. Different players, different personalities, but we're working very well. And I think you're seeing that New Zealanders recognise we have a coalition government that's very united on the things that matter most to New Zealanders: rebuilding the economy, restoring law and order, delivering better health and education, and we're working very well.
This is quite unusual so early on in the election cycle to say which parties you've worked with after an election. You're not going to renege on either of those things?
I'm just saying to you, I enjoy working with both those party leaders, and all I'm saying to you is ultimately that'll be a decision for the New Zealand people in 2026. But frankly, we're a long, long way away from an election, and I'm just focused on doing my job, which is getting this country sorted, turned around, and actually realising some of the great potential that it has in it. Okay, thanks so much, Shane. Okay, see you.